Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota. Please join us in standing and singing our opening song, I Release and Let Go. It's in your program.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, and I am one with God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, and I am one with God. There was a time in my life thought I had to do it all by myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you're discouraged, trying to make it through another day, got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say. Come on. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, and I am one with God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, and I am one with God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, and I am one with God.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning. My name is Latanya. I would like to welcome everyone this morning. I'd like to greet you with Namaste. Namaste, which is a Sanskrit greeting that means the divinity in me greets and honors the divinity within you. It's great to be here this morning on a gorgeous, kind of gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's always gorgeous. That's why we live here. Winter day. I would like to invite everyone to stay after for a little coffee and conversation, get to know each other a little better. And after all that releasing we're going to be doing, it'll feel good to. It's like we'll be able to fill it up with more good stuff because all that bad stuff will be gone. I'd like you to refer to the inside cover of your program, where we have our declaration, which we read every week. It's a reminder of our intention for living our lives. We are a spiritual center that honors all paths to God. Ours is a positive message, inspiring our possibilities and offering spiritual tools for transforming our lives and helping to make the world a better place. Here we can find peace of mind, belonging to a spiritual home, and a personal relationship with the God of our understanding. We are here to discover what we already know. Okay. So I'd like to make a special welcome to any first-time visitors that we have. We have a special gift, which is a visitor packet that contains information about Centers for Spiritual Living Sarasota, Centers for Spiritual Living International. There's a CD message by Reverend Karen who talks about our teachings. And there's also, I think there's a Science of Mind magazine in there as well. So if you'd like a copy or a packet, you can raise your hand right now. Okay, and Harry will bring it to you. And you can pick one up later if, you prefer not to raise your hand. I've never raised my hand in church ever, so there you go. Whenever they say, is there any visitors? I'm always like, okay. Oh. It was only half one. Okay, my bad. Okay. Also, you'll notice in your program when you arrived that there are 2 forms in there. The first one is a basically information form. So what we would really, if you would like to, we would love to have your email address so that we can send you our weekly email newsletter, which tells about what's going on, what's happening, any special events in the New Thought community, any guest speakers, any special things happening here. Also, we do not do anything with that other than send you those newsletters. We do not sell it. We do not give it away. We do not do anything with it but that. So if you'd like for us to keep you in touch with what's happening, just you can give us your email address there. Also, there's a smaller form, which is the prayer request form. And we are we're practitioners of affirmative prayer. Every single person is a practitioner, as Ernest Holmes says. So basically, if you have something that's on your mind or something that you're struggling with or something that you're basically want to say thank you for, I mean, that's if thank you is the only prayer that you pray, that's sufficient. So, but you can put that on here. You will be kept in affirmative positive prayer for the week. You can put it, when you fill it out, you can put it in the offering basket, or you can put it in the prayer request box at the back on the coffee table. And also, I mean, it really, really works. So, also, I always like to say, too, if there's anything that you would like to share that, any demonstrations that you had, like anything that's like, thank you for your prayers because such and such happened, put that on there, too, because basically we all need that because we know that it works. And it's like the sharing it with each other, that it works is wonderful, too. Okay. Just a few announcements. January Science of Mind magazine is available at the book table. It's the best $4 you spend all month. I love that magazine. Every day there's something that makes you think and contemplate, and it's just basically say, oh yeah, I'm alive in this world and what I do matters. So it's a great magazine. Also, we have Reverend Emil is going to be our guest speaker on January 6th. We love him. And on January 13th, it'll be Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones will be our speaker. And he's really great. He has a new book. I think it's Art of Abundance. And he is really a good a teacher, and he really explains it well. So you really get down to the nitty-gritty of what it is. Also, on January 6th, at Unity in Sarasota, which is over on Proctor, Daniel Namad, is it Namad? Namad. Will have a concert there. That is in your program also. You can take a look at that. It's $15 in advance, $20 at the door. We sing his songs here all the time. So he is actually I've never seen him in person, but everybody keeps telling me to go, so I think I'm going to go. Also, on January 27th is going to be our annual member welcoming special service, which is fun. So if you've never been, come. If you're a member and you've never been, come. It's a good time. And it is definitely a way of recommitting and confirming your intention. Okay. I think that's it. Now, believe that's it. Is there anything else, Reverend Karen? Okay. Now we'd like you to, if possible, silence your cell phones. And I'd like to welcome Reverend Karen up to the podium to lead us in prayer. and other stuff.
Thank you, LaTanya. Good morning. Good to see you this morning, and welcome to those of you who are visiting with us for the very first time. It's always wonderful to have newcomers and special guests, so please do know that you're very welcome, and I look forward to chatting with you after the service over coffee and some good stuff that's at the refreshment table. This is the time now in the service when we give ourselves a chance to stop thinking, kind of just drop down from our brilliant minds and mind chatter into our heart and soul. Just allow ourselves to be, to appreciate that we can just sit and breathe and know that that is being in touch with Spirit, with God within, with the source of everything we need. It's so simple. And all week long when we're really busy, sometimes we don't give ourselves a chance to connect with that incredible, ever-present sense of God, by whatever name you want to call it. That sense of peace, of strength, guidance, wisdom. So let's do that for ourselves now. We're going to be led by Bob in a wonderful chant called In the Silence. And you know, it's in the silence that we really have a clear line to the infinite. So join in if you feel like it, or just listen as he sings.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. I find myself.
Oh, yes, in the silence. In the silence, I get out of my own way. I get out of the way of that immense sense of the one that resides within me and embraces me, guides me. In the silence, there is peace. There's no analyzing, no trying to figure it out. Just being. And that is incredibly trusting. My mind chatter, my ego isn't so sure it wants to just be still. And yet, sometimes it's when I'm just too worn out and tired of trying to keep everything going that I do step back, and I find that in the stillness, in letting go, in surrender, in trust, I'm renewed, I'm refreshed, I have everything I need in any given moment. And I know this is the truth for each one of us here. It is the same for each one of us. The experience may be different, unique, but the fundamental truth is the same. Nothing to do, only something to know. Nothing to do, just something to be. So this morning, as we are poised at the end of 2018 and on the verge of a brand new year, 2019, we're in a perfect place, a perfect in-between place to let it all go, to just be open to what is, and to rest, to simply rest in the knowledge and truth that in spirit all is well, that in the silence all is well. And so we take this with us now as we continue this time together this morning, allowing this quietness to refresh and renew our spirits, so that when we go out into our week, our new year, we're renewed at depth. We know our source. For this, I give great thanks now as I surrender it, as I let it be so, for so it is.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. I find God. I find God. I find myself. Somebody's got to break the silence now. It's got to be me.
I can think of nobody better.
Got a great song for you from Kebmo. If your problems won't go away and you're worried night and day, hand it over to the Spirit every day. Hand it up, feeling low. You got no money, got nowhere to go. Hand it over to the Spirit every day. Hand it over, hand it over. Give it up, give it over. Hand it over to the Spirit every day. Ain't no mountain you can't climb, no answer you can't find. All you need is a hand to hold. It'll heal your body, feed your soul. When the road is dark and you can't find your way, just let the Spirit light the way. Hand it over to the Spirit every day. Yeah, hand it over, hand it over. That's right. Give it up, give it over. Hand it over to the Spirit every day. Ain't no mountain you can't climb, no answer you can't find. All you need is a hand to hold. It'll heal your body, feed your soul. When the road is dark and you can't find your way, let the Spirit light the way. Hand it over to the Spirit every day. Come on, sing it with me. Hand it over, hand it over. Give it up, give it over. Hand it over to the Spirit every day. Sound good? One more time. Yeah, hand it over, hand it over. Give it up, give it over. Hand it over to the Spirit every day.
Oh, yeah. You all were really good. It's the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Got nothing on you. Thank you for letting us sing along with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being in the choir.
We've got it all here. We've got it all. Get move my water up here in case I need that. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Hand it over. Hand it over. Give it to Spirit every day. I'm going to be inviting you to do that today, and we're all going to kind of do this together because it is time to make room for the new. Life is always making all things new, But often our attachment to the old gets in the way, and it obscures our even being able to see the possibilities, all the new opportunities that Spirit has for us. I just was aware of this just Christmas. You know, we're done with Christmas, sort of, and I don't know how you are about whatever Christmas decorations you put up. Some years I put up more than others. Get on my Christmas music, and so I've been doing that for the last month. I've had a few things up, and I really enjoy them. And now I'm saying, well, you know, it's getting time. I suppose I got to put them away, but I'm not ready to let them go yet. But on the other hand, as the new year starts showing up, you know, New Year's Eve and all of that, I sort of feel like, well, now these are kind of out of place, so maybe I better. And there's a little transition, isn't there? Kind of, well, push-pull a little bit. And then all of a sudden it seems, well, not all of a sudden, but I become aware, I'm ready. Let's be done with it. Let's put it away. I don't want to see anything about Christmas. I'm ready for the new year. So I don't know where you are in that process, but it's such a great example of how we are as human beings when it comes to, you know, getting rid of the old, letting it go, turning it over to Spirit, and then being open to what's new. So today we're going to have that opportunity in what I hope will be a very relaxed and thoughtful and sacred reflective time to clear out the inner clutter of our old stories, the old agreements that we've made with other people, with life, that really don't serve us anymore. And one of the fundamental ones is, of course, the habitual belief in lack and limitation. A habitual belief in lack and limitation, and behind that, a habitual belief, we're not aware of it, of course, it's all kind of subconscious, but it's a belief that I'm not enough. That fundamental belief. And if you think about, as we're talking about this today, the various things that you might want to release, move past, just ask yourself, is behind it all a sense that I'm just not enough? And is that why I'm hanging on? There's a marvelous affirmation that you hear us say a lot here, and it is from Dr. Ernest Holmes, the architect of our philosophy, and many people who influenced him. Principle is not bound by precedent. But we're going to expand that and say, principle is not bound by precedent, and neither am I. So you know how much store we put by precedent. Well, we've always done it that way. Well, it's always been that way. Well, you know how they say it should be done. That's precedent, okay? And we're saying the truth of us is not bound by that, doesn't even know about that. We just hang on to it. So let's know. Principle is not bound by precedent, and neither am I. So I begin this new year setting my intentions with confidence, with delight, knowing that God in me, as me, continually makes all things new. Remember, we're always reminding ourselves that we are creations of God, of the infinite, out of itself. And the one thing that God keeps doing as life, as its own expression, by whatever name you want to call it, is making all things new. So that would have to be true of you and me too, because we are created out of that same divine essence. So here we are. We're on the threshold of a brand new year, 2019, 365 days of possibility. And I don't know about you, but sometimes that awareness evokes the urge to do resolutions, New Year's resolutions, set goals. It'll pass. Don't worry. It'll pass. Or maybe let's just step back a little and say it just does evoke in me a sense of wanting to make a fresh start. But there's one important thing to do first, and that is clear the way. Clear the way and make room for all those new experiences that we desire, all the possibilities, the promise and intentions waiting to manifest in the new year for us. Have you ever gotten something new? Either you went and bought it or someone gave it to you, and you got home and you didn't have room for it? Closet, garage, bookshelves, too full of old stuff. Now, I don't know about you, but that has been true for me on more than one occasion. To the point where, actually now, when I'm in the store, it's, oh, I'd love to have that. Wait a minute, where are you going to put it? Right behind it. Thank God it saves me from hauling stuff home that I don't have any place for. But you know where I'm going with this. We're going to do some inner house cleaning to make room because, I mean, only so much we can take in, you know, and then there's no room for it. See, the truth, again, as I said earlier, the spiritual truth is, behold, I make all things new. And that means that's referring to the very natural impulse of life itself. What is that impulse? Create, 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 create. Just take a look at nature. I mean, it creates all the time, constantly. And I find this encouraging. This is more than just a bumper sticker. Think about it. If life is always creating, and I'm alive, you and I are expressions of life, that means that life is on our side when we decide to create something new. Now, typically we might say, oh, that's going to be so hard and all life is against me. Somehow the forces that be are against me. This is going to be so hard to make this change, to let go of something, to make room for the new. But the truth is, the impulse of life is to create. And when you set that intention, when I set that intention, life is saying, okay, let's get with it. You get ideas, doors open, things start to fall into line. Sure, we have to roll up our sleeves and do our work, but have you noticed? It's just like, oh, wow, coincidences happen. Life is in your favor. And it's because the only thing it knows how to do is create, create, create. Here's how Dr. Holmes put it. He said, a limitless creativity exists and expresses through all that is. It is always seeking a fuller channel of expression through you. And this means there's always a greater possibility available to you. There is divine strength and infinite wisdom at the center of your being that will enable you to put more life and live into your living and take more out of it. What he's saying is this innate impulse of nature to create means its creative energy is supporting you all the way. Now here's something to notice about life's impulse to create and nature, as we see it in nature. Nature doesn't hang on to old stuff, does it? It can't. Of course, things become old. That's the cycle. But have you noticed, in nature, the old falls away, making way for the emergence of the new. So if we take our cues from nature, we say, oh yeah, I'm going to get in line with this creative process. But so often we, unlike nature, we are attached to the old, and we don't even recognize it because it's so familiar and even comfortable in an odd sort of way. But this attachment to the old gets in the way from receiving the very things that we desire, the new possibilities that Spirit is offering all the time. So today, as we set the tone for the new year, we're going to take a look at recognizing and clearing out and releasing at least some of the stuff, maybe one thing that's cluttering up, keeping us from having room for the new that's waiting for us in the new year. In fact, it's waiting for us every single day. Every single day. Now, I've noticed when we start this process, when we start thinking about this, about, okay, I'm going to release the old and make room for the new, our mind goes to changing behaviors. Okay, I'm going to eat in a more healthy way. I'm going to diet. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to watch my spending. I'm going to pay off my debt. I'm going to be nicer in how I respond to others. That's a list of resolutions, isn't it? That's a list of behavior changes. And have you noticed how many times that they don't stick? I remember, what was it, Garrison Keillor, in talking about exercise, there was a many of you know who Garrison Keillor, remember him, the Minnesota storyteller. And he used to talk about this health club, because we're going to go to the health club, sign up at the gym 1st of January. And what was it called? It was called the Nice Try Health Club. And I forget, he had memberships that were ranked from like a week-long membership, a month-long to a week-long to a day, that kind of thing. Fully understanding that when we try to change at the level of behavior, something's missing. We're not changing at depth. And so what we're going to talk about today is looking at what is keeping some of these behaviors in place that we want to change, because we really have a genuine desire to change them. What we have to change is the stories and the beliefs that energize those behaviors. So our practice today is not going to be about changing any behavior or getting rid of any behavior, but rather to take a look at replacing the stories and the beliefs behind those behaviors, the ones that we have unwittingly, unaware, allowed to become embedded as habits that in many cases even define us. Well, I never could be on time. Well, I never could get out of debt. Well, I never could lose that 10 pounds. Whatever it is, it's a story. And behind that is a belief. That's where we want to go to make the changes. And like I said, those habits and those stories and beliefs about ourselves and about life and about our possibility become almost like automatic responses, because they're at the subconscious level, they're embedded there, and we have a story. There is a story there. And then all we see is just that what's on the surface, which is kind of an automatic reaction to something. Here's an example. You have an opportunity to do something really wonderful. Go on a trip, try something new, do a new project, meet someone new, whatever it is. And your first response, because everybody here is, I'm in, I'm all about new stuff, I want to try something new, so you say yes, and you're anticipating it, and you're excited. But on the heels of that, sometimes in a nanosecond, something stops you. Something comes in and it says, well, like, what if I fail? Or what if they don't like me? Or what if I don't have enough of whatever it would take? Or others are so much better than I am, or I don't want to look cocky, or I don't want to look childish, or I don't want to let them see that I don't know, or old beliefs, old stories, and they kick in, and we don't realize that it's the story that's fueling that, pulling back. You want to do something, but then that kicks in and says, I don't know. So these habits, these stories, we're going to distill down into basically three themes. I'm not enough. They are not enough, whoever they are. And there is not enough. I'm not enough. They are not enough. And there is not enough. Not enough. And by the end of today's time together, it's my hope that you will have created at least a willingness, an opening for the releasing of whatever might be your not enough story, whatever might be in the way of your experiencing all the good that's there for you for the new year. So I'm going to give you 3 reminders to keep in mind as you're thinking about releasing. The first thing is releasing might not feel like such a relief. We talk about them and say, oh yeah, I want to be rid of that. I don't want to do that anymore. But it doesn't always feel like such a relief. Releasing old beliefs, patterns, stories, and ways of thinking, even though they no longer serve us, can sometimes be so uncomfortable and painful. Sometimes painful. Sometimes I have to just take mine back, so I'm not ready to let you go yet, because this defines me. This gives me direction, as miserable as it might be. And that's because these things have become habits. They're routine, and they're familiar, and they're comfortable. It's like we prefer the devil we know to the devil we don't know. Have you heard that? Yes. I kind of think that's what that means. Here's an example. Chances are, with a few exceptions in this room, you're far more capable. How can I put this? All right. If you got up let me put it this way. If you got up in the morning and you said, damn, I'm good, I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm even lovable. How many of you get up and say that every morning? No, you don't have to answer that. But the thing is, what happens, really, we're far more comfortable with getting up in the morning and saying, well, I didn't do so well yesterday, maybe I'll do better today. God, is that me in the mirror? Oh, my goodness. Better, let's get the makeup on. Let's get, and I've got so much to do today, and I don't know if I can get it done. Do you see what the flavor is of that? That just shows there's that subconscious immediate reaction. Instead of being equally as comfortable with saying, I am enough, damn, I'm good, I'm capable, and I'm going to go for it today. And however it works out, doesn't mean everything's going to be just a walk in the park, but I'm on it. So instead, try it sometime, because as you do, you will be aware then of whatever comes up right behind and says, oops, who do you think you are? I'm telling you that because that's an example, so we can be aware of those things that are in the subconscious that pop up and get in our way. And how we shift them is gradually replacing them. Not immediately turning them off, but practice replacing the old message with the new message. And those old messages can feel very safe. And it's because they may have at some time in our life actually been a safe way to define ourselves. They might have even been instrumental in our survival, or we thought they were. Say, well, I'm really not that capable, and there's really not enough, so I'm not even going to try. It was a way of staying safe. But those things no longer serve us. But they're in the subconscious, habitual thought process. And so we don't recognize it. So let's raise our awareness to that and pay attention. And not to criticize yourself when they come up, not to beat yourself up, because that doesn't do any good, does it? I mean, if you want anyone, if you have a child, hi kids, that you want to change and invite to a different kind of behavior, you don't constantly criticize them and say, this is terrible, don't be doing that, you're no good. But we do that to ourselves. So as these things come up, just be gentle. Say, well, hello, we're gonna work on you. Okay, so the second thing about releasing is it might not feel like it may not feel like such a relief. That's the first thing. The second thing, it may simply be a matter of seeing something differently. In other words, releasing your perspective of something. How are you seeing something? It may not be so much letting go as it is about letting go of the meaning that you are giving something, and then finding a new meaning to assign it. Maybe something in your life didn't work out as you thought it should. Maybe this year, this last week, it didn't work out as you thought it should, and you're kind of stuck in that miserable place. And that story didn't work out, and that led to self-doubt, to a belief about yourself as being inadequate, and even not lovable, maybe. I have been there many times. I go right there. I tell that story to myself. Well, now I'm starting to realize it's time to give it the story a new meaning, or give it a new story for that matter. And that's how we release. We change the perspective, change the meaning of what seems to be holding us back. It might simply be saying, it didn't work out, but you know what? I realize now that maybe I didn't fit that situation. And now my new story is, what a blessing to know that. And I can move forward. So with a new perspective, of course, comes a new sense of confidence and well-being. Here's an example about perspective. Someone wise said this, and it's stuck in my mind about it's so clear about perspective. All right, you have stone. How many of you, is there anyone who didn't get a stone today, by the way? Okay, put your hand up, by the way, because Jim is going to, we'll need him in a little bit. We have a few folks. Some are just waving hello. Don't confuse us. Oh, you've got one? Elaine. And Mercedes has one too. So people just don't behave, do they? Okay. So you got a stone. Now, if you want to do this, you can, or you can just imagine what it's like. If you hold it up close to your eye and close the other eye, but just hold that right up close to your eye, pretty much all you can see is that stone, right? Everything else is kind of out of perspective. Now, hold it down to where you would if you're going to look at it and say, oh, I have a stone in my hand. I'm going to look at it. Now you can understand it better. It isn't overwhelming. It isn't blocking your view, is it? And now don't do this, but if you put it down on the floor, like if you were walking outside on a path and you threw it down there where a lot of stones would be, it'd be just like, oh, there's another stone. Let that stone be the problem that might be bugging you or your story. You see, when your perspective is that that's all there is, and it's the whole truth about me, you can't really see much of anything else. As you adjust your perspective, guess what? That story starts to shift and become benign. The third thing about releasing is it doesn't happen instantly. The process we're going to do is instant. It's not a lingering sort of thing, but just understand, those things took a long time to get in there, didn't they? Those thoughts, perspectives, stories, beliefs. So they're not just going to go overnight. But it is important and powerful to set the intention to be willing, just a smidge, to let go of the story, to create a space for something new. And then as you practice this over time, you find there is a shift, and you are releasing, and as you're embracing, it's kind of an overlap almost. You're releasing a little bit, and you're embracing the new. One more thing, as I said earlier, releasing doesn't mean rejecting anything about yourself. This is meant to be a loving process. And after all, you are God expressing. Why would you be unloving to yourself? But we do that. So I just want to encourage you to realize this is a very loving process, loving for you. And just take it easy. And so now Bob is going to sing for us, and we're going to just pause and listen. And then we'll go into our ceremony. Let go of the shore. Let these beautiful words inspire you to what we're talking about.
Let go of the shore. Let the water carry you. Let go of the shore. Float into the mystery. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore. Float into the mystery. You have all you need. It's all inside of you. Just close your eyes and breathe and know that you are safe. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore. Float into the mystery. No need to make a plan. Your heart will be your compass. Just lift your sails in faith and trust you will arrive. Let go let go of the shore, float into the mystery. And let the water carry you. Let go of the shore and float into the mystery. Float into the mystery. Float into the mystery.
I invite you now to hold your stone in your hands very gently and close your eyes once again if you're comfortable doing that, because we're going to let our inner eyes see more clearly. Just center yourself by simply breathing. Just breathe naturally and easily. And let your breathing create a pathway to your heart. Feel your heart opening. Now invite your inner wisdom to guide you through these next sacred moments, to show you what is yours to know today. And now, with your eyes remaining closed, in your inner mind's eye, see yourself standing on the threshold of an open door, 2019. The door is wide open. As you stand looking through that door into the 365 days ahead, what do you see? And what does that feel like? As you're looking through that door, standing there, what do you feel? And looking ahead to this new year, what do you desire as you contemplate walking through that door? What do you desire? What do you want to create in your life this year? What quality of experience do you want to have in your body, in your physical well-being? What quality of experience do you want to have in your finances, your material situation? How about your relationships? What quality of experience do you want to have this year? And in your creative self-expression, your career, is there a particular quality you want? Here are some qualities to think about. Quality of ease, balance, joy, confidence, harmony, creativity, fun. Now, chances are this is not the first time that you've felt this desire. Maybe you felt it as just a twinge or a nudge, an intuitive impulse calling you sort of in the background. So why hasn't it happened yet? What is in the way? What seems to keep you stuck? What is your habitual story? What is your belief? And can you distill this something that keeps you stuck, keeps you from moving into the thing that you desire to experience? Can you distill it into a word or two, or maybe a brief phrase like, there's not enough, or I'm not enough? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's struggle. Everything's always a struggle. Maybe it's that I'm not deserving, or I'm not strong enough, intelligent enough, or creative enough. Maybe it's my perfectionism. That word, that phrase, it's a belief. And what is that belief? That if you could be free of it, there would be nothing stopping you. So now you've peeked into the new year and considered what you desire, and you've considered what is in the way. So holding your stone in your hands, feeling its texture, its shape, its weight, just hold it lightly. And let the stone represent what came up for you as being in the way. That which you are thinking about releasing today. Allow yourself to experience the feeling of that story, that belief that you want to release, and imagine that stone representing that. Let the stone represent your fear, your struggle, your doubt, your not enough. And as you breathe, with every exhale, just exhale the old, the heavy, the burden, the struggle, the doubt, the fear. Exhale it into your stone. Let that stone be sort of a repository, symbolically absorbing that which has blocked or burdened you. And then with every inhale, breathe in freshness, lightness, freedom, relief. Exhaling the old and inhaling the aliveness, just playing with it for a moment of saying, wow, I am enough, and there is always enough. All right, now, if you'd like to open your eyes for a moment, I'm going to give you a couple more hints before we release our stones. When you're releasing something, you're not necessarily making it disappear. And that's why we have bowls of water here to put our stones in. The bowls of water, the water is symbolizing the sacred essence of spirit, God, a clear, healing substance. And what we're doing is immersing our issue, our block, our burden, our story into the healing essence of spirit. Another way of saying it is, Bob sang earlier, hand it over to spirit. Hand it over. That's what we're doing. We're handing it over, not making it disappear. What we're doing is allowing spirit to transform it. So when you come to the table, we're going to come in just a moment, do three things. Pause and silently affirm in your own words in some way, but silently, I just release, I bless, and I let go of my fear. I let go of my worry. I let go of my belief in struggle. I let go of my belief in not enough. Whatever is there may be many things. Pick one, because everything else will follow. So pick one. So when you come up, you'll hold your stone, you'll silently affirm that. I'm blessing it, and I'm releasing it. And then you'll place your stone in one of the two bowls of water there. And we'll give you a napkin to dry your hands off. And then there's a bowl of angel cards, and I'll explain that after you have one. But they're all face down, and you just pick one, just any one. And then you can come back to your seat, and then we'll talk about those angel cards and how they can be a guide as we move forward. So now we want to go ahead and give us some music again, and I invite you now, as you're comfortable, and I've got my stone, so LaTanya and I are going to be back here. Come up as you feel comfortable and put your stone in the water. course. Thanks for thinking of that. How about the angel cards? Dr. Ernest Holmes said, there is a guardian angel that accompanies everyone throughout life. It is the angel of God's presence in you. It is your spiritual nature. So notice the one-word quality on your angel card. You may not know why you were drawn to that intuitively, that particular card. It's not necessary to analyze it. Just let it speak to you. And if not now, let it speak to you as the days go by. It's not magic. It's not woo-woo. It's simply a tool for awakening what's already at hand for you. Pay attention to the feelings that quality evokes in you. It may be like, oh, that's not me. Or it may be, oh, yeah, I want more of that. Or somewhere in between. But it's a catalyst. It's a wonderful catalyst for the newness for which you have made room. I have noticed, for me, it's been uncanny as I look at the end of the year and I'll see how a card that I picked at the beginning, how it has manifested in ways that I would have never guessed. It's been a talisman, kind of a little bit of a due north. So that's what the angel card is for you. It's a replacement. Remember, we went through the intention of releasing, and the universe does not like a vacuum. So we want to fill it with something positive, something forward-moving, and that's why the angel card also. That gives you something to every time you go back, and you probably will, I know I will go back to my old habit, my old story, I can say, wait a minute, this is my new truth. I replace my fear, my struggle, my belief in not enough with whatever that word is on your card. Peace, with creativity, with imagination, with humor, or with I am enough. All right, so you have your work for you. You've done a beautiful job this morning of setting the intention to make room for the new. So here's how Dr. Ernest Holmes summarizes it. Let us no longer fight the old. Let us release the past and live in the eternal present of God's happy smile. And that is going to be anchored perfectly by Bob singing, Say Yes to Life. What else? Say yes to life. I think he might even let you sing along a little. I'm not sure. And so it is.
Yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes. Yes to life. I'm saying yes. Yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes. Yes to life. Yes to life. I'm saying yes. Yes to life. The spirit of love within me is expressing itself right now. The spirit of joy within me is expressing itself right now. Now what you gonna create today? The universe is ready to play. Spirit surely will lead the way if you just say yes. I'm saying yes, yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes. Yes to life. Yes to life. I'm saying yes. Yes to life. The spirit of life within me is expressing itself right now. The spirit of light within me is expressing itself right now. Whatsoever you can conceive, if you believe it, you can achieve it. Universe will always agree if you just say yes. I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. I'm saying yes, yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. Yes, yeah, yes to life. I'm saying yes. Yes to life, I'm saying yes. Yes to life, I'm saying yes, 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 yes. Yes to life.
Thank you.
I love Eddie Watkins singing. Something positive and loving, and I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it. Now it's yes to life.
That's right.
Okay, now it's time for our offering. I'd like to thank everyone for your generous financial support of this ministry. And I invite you to take your gift in your hand and place it over your heart. And bless it as you share it, and know with me, my gift goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper. And the divine flow returns it to me multiplied abundantly. Now all together, repeat after me. I give thanks.
I give thanks
that I may share.
that I may share
Of my good.
my good,
My love.
my love,
And my support.
and my support. And I give thanks for you and your love and support of this ministry. It means so much. You are so blessed. You are such a blessing, and we are so blessed. So let's sing, I am so blessed.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
As Jim brings forth these offerings, let us all bless them and send them on their way to do Spirit's good and perfect work in the world. And as we know, the divine flow returns it to us, multiplied abundantly in so many ways. And so it is. Okay. So, a big reminder, coffee, yummy stuff, fellowship, be there or be square. And please stand and join with me in singing our closing song, This Little Light of Mine.
All righty. On this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. On this little light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. This little shine.